There's a secret that separates the truly wise from everyone else, and it's not what you think. It's not about how much they know, how many books they've read, or how eloquently they can speak about complex topics. The secret lies in what they choose to hide. Carl Jung, one of the most profound minds in psychology, understood something that most people never realize. True wisdom isn't just about what you reveal to the world. It's about what you strategically keep to yourself. Today, we're going to explore the 3 things that every wise person instinctively hides, and why this ancient principle might be the key to transforming your life. Before we dive deep into this transformative wisdom, let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed how the people you respect most seem to possess an almost magnetic quality? They don't boast about their achievements, they don't constantly seek validation, and they certainly don't air their dirty laundry for everyone to see. There's something mysterious about them, something that draws you in. That's not an accident. That's the result of understanding a fundamental truth about human nature that Jung spent his entire career studying. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." But here's what most people miss. Becoming who you truly are doesn't mean exposing every aspect of yourself to the world. In fact, it often means the opposite. It means having the wisdom to know what parts of yourself deserve protection, what aspects of your journey should remain private, and what elements of your character are too sacred to be shared with just anyone. Think about it for a moment. In our age of social media oversharing, where people broadcast their every thought, feeling, and experience, we've lost touch with the power of mystery, the strength that comes from selective disclosure, and the wisdom that our ancestors understood. Intuitively, we've confused transparency with authenticity and vulnerability with wisdom. But Jung knew better. He understood that the human psyche is complex, layered, and that true power comes from understanding which layers to reveal and which to protect. The first thing that wise people always hide is their deepest struggles and inner battles. Now, this might seem counterintuitive in a world that celebrates vulnerability and openness, but hear me out. There's a crucial difference between being authentic and being indiscriminate with your pain. Wise people understand that their struggles are not entertainment for others, nor are they tools for gaining sympathy or attention. Jung experienced this firsthand during what he called his confrontation with the unconscious, a period of intense psychological turmoil that lasted several years. During this time, he was battling with visions, dreams, and psychological experiences that were so intense they nearly drove him to madness. But did he broadcast these struggles to everyone around him? Did he seek public sympathy or use his pain as a way to connect with others? Absolutely not. He carefully documented his experiences in what would later become known as the Red Book, but he kept these profound inner battles largely to himself during the most intense periods. Why did Jung do this? Because he understood something that most people don't. Your deepest struggles are sacred. They're not meant to be shared with everyone. They're meant to be worked through, learned from, and eventually transformed into wisdom. When you constantly share your battles with others, you rob yourself of the opportunity to develop the inner strength that comes from facing your demons alone. You become dependent on external validation and support, rather than developing the internal resources that make you truly resilient. This doesn't mean wise people never seek help or support. Of course they do, but they're strategic about it. They share their struggles with trusted advisors, therapists, or close friends who can actually provide meaningful guidance. They don't post about their depression on social media. They don't turn their anxiety into dinner party conversation. And they don't use their trauma as a way to bond with casual acquaintances. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely. This acceptance happens in the private chambers of your own heart, not in the public square of social approval. When you hide your deepest struggles, you're not being inauthentic, you're being wise. You're protecting the sacred space where real transformation happens." Think about the people in your life who command the most respect. I guarantee you that you don't know the full extent of their struggles, their doubts, their fears, or their internal battles. And that's precisely why you respect them. There's something powerful about a person who can carry their burdens with grace, who can face their challenges without constantly seeking reassurance from others, and who can transform their pain into wisdom without making it everyone else's problem. The second thing that truly wise people hide is their level of knowledge and understanding. This might be the most counterintuitive point of all, especially in our culture that rewards those who can demonstrate their intelligence most publicly. But Jung understood something profound about human nature. The moment you reveal the full extent of your knowledge, you lose a significant portion of your power and influence. There's an ancient proverb that says, "Those who know don't speak, and those who speak don't know." Jung embodied this principle throughout his career. Despite being one of the most brilliant minds of his generation, he never flaunted his intelligence or tried to overwhelm others with his vast knowledge. Instead, he revealed his insights gradually, strategically, and only when the moment was right. Consider how Jung approached his relationship with Sigmund Freud. Even though Jung had his own revolutionary ideas about the human psyche, he didn't immediately challenge Freud's theories or try to prove his intellectual superiority. Instead, he played the role of the eager student, learning what he could while carefully developing his own understanding. It was only when he had fully formed his own theories and felt confident in his position that he began to diverge from Freud's teachings. This strategic concealment of knowledge serves several important purposes. First, it prevents others from feeling threatened or intimidated by your intelligence. When people feel intellectually inferior, they often respond with defensiveness, resentment, or attempts to undermine your credibility. By hiding the full extent of your knowledge, you allow others to maintain their dignity while still benefiting from your insights. Second, concealing your knowledge gives you a significant strategic advantage in both personal and professional relationships. When people underestimate your understanding of a situation, they often reveal more than they intended to. They let their guard down, speak more freely, and provide you with valuable information that they might otherwise keep to themselves. Jung was a master of this technique. In his therapeutic practice, he would often allow his patients to believe they were teaching him something or revealing profound insights that he hadn't considered before. This approach made his patients feel valued and respected, while also encouraging them to open up more fully about their experiences and emotions. But perhaps most importantly, hiding your knowledge forces you to become a better listener and observer. When you're not constantly trying to demonstrate how much you know, you can focus on understanding the people and situations around you more deeply. You become more attuned to the subtle cues and hidden meanings that others miss. You develop what Jung called psychological intuition, the ability to perceive the unconscious motivations and desires that drive human behavior. Jung once observed, "Your vision becomes clear when you look into your heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." This awakening comes not from displaying your knowledge to the world, but from using that knowledge to perceive and understand the deeper patterns of life. The wise person understands that knowledge is like a sword. It's most powerful when it remains sheathed until the moment it's truly needed. When you constantly brandish your intelligence, it loses its edge. But when you keep it hidden, when you reveal it only at the crucial moment, it becomes devastatingly effective. This doesn't mean being dishonest or pretending to be ignorant. It means being strategic about when and how you share your insights. It means asking questions instead of providing answers, even when you already know the solution. It means allowing others to discover truths for themselves, rather than simply telling them what you think they should know. The third and perhaps most important thing that wise people hide is their true intentions and long-term plans. This is where Jung's understanding of human psychology becomes absolutely crucial. Most people are terrible at concealing their intentions. They telegraph their moves, announce their plans, and seek approval for their goals before they've even begun to pursue them. But wise people understand that premature disclosure of your intentions is one of the fastest ways to sabotage your own success. Jung spent years developing his theories about the collective unconscious, archetypes, and psychological types before he ever published them. He didn't announce to the world that he was going to revolutionize psychology. He didn't seek permission or approval for his radical ideas. He simply worked, quietly and persistently, until his theories were fully formed and ready to withstand scrutiny. There are several reasons why hiding your intentions is so crucial. First, when you announce your plans too early, you invite unnecessary resistance and opposition. People have a natural tendency to resist change, and if they perceive your goals as threatening to their own position or worldview, they'll often work to undermine your efforts before you've even had a chance to implement them. Second, premature disclosure of your intentions can lead to what psychologists call goal substitution. When you receive praise and recognition for announcing your goals, your brain gets a hit of dopamine that tricks it into thinking you've already achieved success. This can reduce your motivation to actually follow through on your plans. Jung understood this psychological trap and avoided it by keeping his most ambitious projects to himself until they were nearly complete. Third, hiding your intentions allows you to adapt and pivot as circumstances change, without having to publicly admit that your original plan wasn't working. When you've announced your goals to everyone, you become psychologically invested in pursuing them even when it's no longer strategically wise to do so. But when your intentions remain hidden, you maintain the flexibility to change course without losing face. Jung's approach to developing his analytical psychology demonstrates this principle perfectly. He didn't announce that he was going to break away from Freudian psychoanalysis and create his own school of thought. Instead, he quietly pursued his research, developed his ideas, and built a foundation of evidence and support. By the time he publicly diverged from Freud's teachings, he was prepared for the inevitable backlash and had already established himself as a formidable intellectual force in his own right. But hiding your intentions isn't just about avoiding opposition or maintaining strategic flexibility. It's also about maintaining the psychological energy and focus necessary to achieve your goals. When you constantly talk about what you're going to do, you dissipate the mental energy that should be directed toward actually doing it. You become more focused on managing other people's perceptions of your plans than on executing those plans effectively. Wise people understand that there's a time for disclosure and a time for concealment. They reveal their intentions only when doing so serves a specific strategic purpose, whether that's building alliances, securing resources, or creating accountability. But they never reveal their intentions simply to seek approval, validation, or recognition. Jung wrote, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But this transformation only happens when there's genuine mystery and discovery involved. When you reveal everything about yourself, your struggles, your knowledge, your intentions, you rob others of the opportunity to truly encounter you. You become predictable, manageable, and ultimately forgettable." The power of selective concealment extends far beyond these three core areas. Wise people also understand the importance of hiding their emotions until they've fully processed them, concealing their judgments until they've gathered all the relevant information, and keeping their personal relationships private to protect them from external interference and manipulation. This principle of strategic concealment is deeply rooted in Jung's understanding of the human psyche. He recognized that we all wear different masks or personas in different situations, and that this isn't necessarily inauthentic, it's adaptive. The key is being conscious and intentional about which aspects of yourself you reveal in different contexts. Jung's concept of the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we reject or hide from conscious awareness, is often misunderstood as something entirely negative, but Jung knew that the shadow also contains tremendous power and potential. By consciously choosing what to reveal and what to conceal, wise people maintain access to this shadow power while protecting themselves from its potential destructive effects. The wise person doesn't hide these aspects of themselves out of shame, fear, or deception. They hide them out of respect for the power of these elements, respect for the appropriate timing of their revelation, and respect for the people who may not be ready or worthy to receive such intimate knowledge. In our current cultural moment, this ancient wisdom is more relevant than ever. We live in an age of unprecedented transparency, where privacy is often viewed with suspicion and concealment is equated with dishonesty. But Jung would argue that this is a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature and social dynamics. True authenticity isn't about revealing everything about yourself to everyone. It's about being honest with yourself about who you are, understanding the full spectrum of your capabilities and limitations, and then strategically choosing how to present yourself to the world in ways that serve your highest goals and values. The person who overshares their struggles becomes known for their problems rather than their solutions. The person who constantly displays their knowledge becomes a target for those who feel threatened by intelligence. The person who announces all their intentions becomes predictable and easy to manipulate or sabotage. But the person who understands the art of strategic concealment becomes mysterious, powerful, and magnetic. They draw others to them not through neediness or showing off, but through the compelling energy of someone who has mastered themselves and their circumstances. Jung himself embodied this principle throughout his life. Despite being one of the most analyzed and studied figures in psychology, he remained fundamentally mysterious. We know about his theories, his major life events, and his public persona, but the deepest aspects of his inner life remained largely hidden even from his closest associates. This wasn't because Jung was secretive or deceptive, it was because he understood that some aspects of the human experience are too profound, too personal, or too powerful to be shared indiscriminately. He knew that wisdom comes not just from understanding yourself, but from understanding what parts of yourself deserve protection and sacred concealment. As we conclude this exploration of Jung's profound insight into the nature of wisdom and concealment, it's important to remember that this isn't about becoming cold, calculating, or manipulative. It's about developing discernment, strategic thinking, and respect for the power of the information you carry about yourself. The wise person who hides their struggles isn't being dishonest. They're protecting the sacred space where real healing and transformation occur. The wise person who conceals their knowledge isn't being deceptive. They're maintaining their strategic advantage while creating space for others to grow and discover. The wise person who keeps their intentions private isn't being secretive. They're protecting their dreams and goals from the energy-draining effects of premature disclosure and unwanted interference. In the end, Jung's insight about the three things wise people hide is really about understanding the difference between privacy and secrecy, between strategic concealment and dishonest deception, between authentic self-protection and inauthentic self-presentation. The path to wisdom isn't about becoming an open book that everyone can read at will. It's about becoming a carefully curated library, where the most valuable texts are kept in a special collection, accessible only to those who have demonstrated the wisdom and respect necessary to handle such precious knowledge. Remember, your words, everything that irritates us about others, can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. The people who irritate you by oversharing, by constantly trying to prove how smart they are, or by announcing every plan and intention, they're showing you exactly what not to do. They're demonstrating the lack of wisdom that comes from failing to understand the power of strategic concealment. Your struggles, your knowledge, and your intentions are not public property. They're private assets that should be managed with the same care and strategic thinking that you would apply to any other valuable resource. Share them wisely, protect them carefully, and remember that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply remain silent and let others wonder about the depths they cannot see.